Hey folks, this episode is brought to you by Anneal Painting, your go-to pros for both interior and exterior painting here in the greater Grand Rapids area. Whether residential or commercial, these guys have been doing it for 4 generations. That's right, family-owned, trusted, and insured by the state of Michigan. So you know the job's done right. Whether you're freshening up a room, in need of wallpaper removal or hanging, or giving your whole home a facelift, they'll make sure it looks amazing. And the best part? Free estimates. So before you grab that roller, drop cloth, and rickety old stepladder, remember their slogan. Don't DIY, let us beautify. Call Anneal Painting today at 2692-773-173 or find them on Instagram and Facebook at Anneal Painting. That's ANIOL Painting. Bringing color and quality to Michigan homes for 4 generations. Remember, don't DIY, let us beautify.
Dan Campbell took this Lions job with a vision. That vision has ignited the Lions fan base in a way not seen perhaps ever.
This is a sleeping giant. This is a sports town, and we feel the love. Remember who you are!
NFC North champions, everybody.
Vision, winners, back-to-back seasons.
Your team ain't ours, the pride is worldwide now. Riding to your town, win, then ride out. The crew here to break it down for y'all, to demonstrate how we ain't playing around with y'all. The humble host with punchlines to give you a black eye. We brought a GM and OC, even a stat guy. Other teams drink the Kool-Aid, roll over and quit. I drank Campbell's soup and woke up all grit.
It's grit.
The NFL should be ashamed of itself. Welcome into the All Grit Podcast. I'm your humble host, Caleb, and I'm going solo pod today. The rest of the boys are not here. I said I'm going solo. I'm going to do my Mike Valenti rant when he used to work solo. Lions get screwed, and you know what? I keep hearing from every sportscaster and every thing on the radio that, you know what? Here's what they said. The Lions didn't lose because of that play. The Lions didn't lose because of that play. Now let's start off. We're not going to go off to the Amon-Ra St. Brown last play of the game. The referees called an offensive pass interference, which it was. You have Amon-Ra pushing off both hands, full extension. The DB did what he had to do, fell back in his stance a little bit. Amon-Ra, instead of just flattening out the route, runs out of the end zone to catch the ball, which is inexcusable. They gang tackle him. He throws the ball back. Whistle should have been blown dead anyway for, failure to, for forward progression. Goff gets the lateral, dives into the touchdown for a touchdown. The whole play shouldn't have counted. That's not what the All Grit Podcast is referring to. When we say the NFL should be ashamed of themselves, they should be ashamed of the referees. They should be ashamed of the Zebras. Because 2 plays before that, when Jared Goff goes back, 1st and goal, 22 seconds on the clock, Tesla gets called for an offensive pass interference when the wide receiver simply runs to the end zone and gets ganged up on by 2 Pittsburgh defensive backs. They laid their hands on him. They pushed him into the other. He didn't even extend his hands. You can see his left shoulder where it was, if anything, that they were to call a penalty on Tesla, his left shoulder ducks down to try to not hit the defensive player. His arms don't extend. Jared Goff throws a dime to Amon-Ra St. Brown. 4 field goals. Crazy. 22 seconds on the clock. We have the lead. Essentially, the game is over. Sure, we got to kick off, and they'd have 22 seconds to come down. But you still have to let the guys play the game, don't you? You still have to let the guys play the game. So for the referees, for the Zebras to throw a flag on Tesla, who did nothing, is complete and utter malpractice. Taking a touchdown off the board. So when someone says, Lions didn't lose because of that one play, you're goddamn right they did. They lost because of the referees. And I keep hearing, and I'll throw Mike Valenti underneath the bus too, and everybody out there on the sports radio, they said, no, the reason why the Lions lost the game, and they even said this on ESPN, is because you let Pittsburgh run 200 plus yards on you and you didn't stop them. No, that's not the reason why we lost the game. And I'll give you an example. Pittsburgh ran for 200 plus yards on us. Congratulations. Our defensive line does not know how to stop running backs. But guess what? Your defensive backs don't know how to stop Jared Goff. Let me read you a little stat here. Jared Goff, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Is Jared Goff the problem? Is our wide receivers the problem? Our defense, listeners, gave up 481 yards of offense. So I don't want to hear the Jared Goff smack talk. Yeah, he threw a couple ducks. I was mad at him too. He threw him at his feet. He didn't get the ball held right one time before he threw it. But you know what? It was a quick screen. He had to get the ball out. He knew he was going to get sacked. But for anybody to say that the Lions lost because they gave up 200 plus rushing yards is complete malfeasance. If that were true, the opposite would be true. The Pittsburgh lost because they let Jared Goff throw for 364 yards. Oh, wait, the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't lose because they had the referees apparently getting paid. And if they weren't getting paid, they called outright BS calls on the last drive of the game. On the last 22 seconds of the game. This game, listeners, came down to the referees. It has always come down to the referees. This week, they've gone back 8 years to the Golden Tate 8-second play with a 10-second runoff. Why? Because the referees ended the game the same way they did back then. They interviewed Nate Burleson, who said, when I first came to Detroit, I was told by my players, my new teammates, that, oh man, you're in Detroit, we're going to be playing against the refs and the team. And Nate said, come on, man, I've been in the league way too long. I know what you're talking about. That ain't true. And over the next, I believe, 4 years that Nate played here, he was interviewed yesterday. He said, I saw it with my own eyes. The way that you have to play against the refs is undeniable. Now, this is Nate Burleson, who was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, of all teams, who were horse crap for 3 decades. Then goes to Minnesota, who was horse crap for 2 decades. Then he comes to Detroit and says, oh my God, this is a whole different ball game of having to play against the referees. So when someone says, or someone has the audacity to go on air and go on their news, go on their podcast, go on ESPN and say the Lions didn't lose because of that play, yes, they did. The points were on the board. Amon-Ra scored. The sirens went off. The crowd cheered. 6 points were on the board. Oh, wait. Let's take the 6 points off of the board because of a non-call. And you want to know how much of a non-call it is? Listen to Rex Ryan.
They got the last one right, but they certainly got the previous one dead ass wrong. Like the defensive guy on the St. Brown touchdown, he's the guy that initiated the contact, right here on Tesla. He initiated the contact. This is an awful call. And unfortunately, it cost the Lions a win here and probably a playoff spot. So this is atrocious right here. Now, on the other, the last one, okay, the last one, clearly it was a PI by Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, he goes in, and as soon as he extends with both hands, it's a penalty. So right here, you see, right here, he jumps into Ramsey and puts both hands on him. That's going to be called, and that's the appropriate call. All right? What St. Brown has to do in that situation, understand this is going to be a three-man rush by Pittsburgh. And quite honestly, it was only a two-man rush here. You're going to have time. You don't need to get the separation. You have plenty of time. And unfortunately, that was the outcome. But, there's no two ways about it. The first one to St. Brown was a touchdown. Absolute touchdown.
Absolute touchdown. Coming from ex-head coach Rex Ryan. I hope that audio came over clear enough. It was off of a phone just because I got it last minute. But you have ex-head coach Rex Ryan saying absolutely a touchdown. So I say all that to say this. The Zebras, the refs have been doing this to the Lions for years, and we've just been taking it. How much more are we going to take of this? How much more are we going to be the doormat for the NFL? What do we have to do? Who do we have to call? Who do we have to get justice for this team? Now, this team is not a Super Bowl team. Their defense is horse crap. You remember the stat that I just pulled up? Yeah, that stat that said the defense gave up 481 yards of offense against someone who drinks Bengay every morning and smokes ashwagandha, somebody who's 42 years old. And that, him and Phillip Rivers are on a tie to see who's going to be in a wheelchair the soonest. The defense is not a Super Bowl defense. If the defense played like a top 16 defense, which is half of the league, we'd be Super Bowl bound. But our defense is such trash that we're not a Super Bowl team. Now, granted, the injuries are lining up again like they did last year. Last year it was the defense. This year it's the defense. Except they're completely different. Last year, our defensive line was decimated. We were hiring guys off the street. Our linebackers were all in hospital wards. And our cornerbacks and our safeties were as healthy as ever. This year, let's just flip the pile right back around. The defensive backs were literally going to Taco Bells and asking, did you play in high school? Did you play in college? Did you play any AAA ball? And our defensive line, as Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell says, we're good. Yeah, that defensive line is good. We don't need anybody. We don't need to go out and get anybody. We're good. Their linebackers, all healthy this year. We're good. 481 yards of offense. And guess what? That's on the defensive line, and that's on the linebackers. I say all that to say this. This team is not a Super Bowl team. This team, it hurts so bad because all we as Lions fans, we know that this team isn't as good as last year's or the year before that. We've lost too many people. We've lost good coaches. But the sad thing is we think we deserve playoffs every year now. We think that we've come to the point in Lions history where we've got a coach, we've got a GM, we've got decent players. We should be in the playoffs. We started 4-1 this year. We should be in the playoffs, right? You're trash. Your offensive line is dog water. I was talking to the crew, and Adrian's telling me who's all out, and I'm like, bro, Mahogany's in. Mahogany's starting, bro. Changes is a-coming. First play of the game, Mahogany whiffs, lands up on one knee. Jared Goff goes down for a sack. Excuse me, that was the second play of the game. Mahogany. The better offensive lineman coming in for Cologne lets up a sack on his second play of the game. Yes, we were not ready for the Ragnow retirement, but remember, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell said, we're good. We don't need to go out and sign our buddy that just left to go to the Tennessee Titans, which is a team going absolutely nowhere. You could have plucked him back up for a 6th-round draft pick, thrown him back on the line, and then we can talk. Then we can move 3 secondary offensive linemen into one spot and try to make it work. But no, we're good. Lions playoffs chances are down to, before I even get into that, if the Lions would have won, if the referees did not steal this game from the Detroit Lions, all we would need to get into the playoffs is a Bears loss this week against San Francisco. Did anybody see San Francisco last night? They look like a juggernaut. They're going to steamroll the Chicago Bears. And all we would need is a loss, one more loss by the Packers. Who's the Packers play this week? Let's look it up. I forget who the Packers play this week. Because I know that they play Minnesota next week. Oh, yeah, and here's the reason why I even got into that. Guess who the Lions play this week? It's the Minnesota Vikings. Guess who's not playing for the Minnesota Vikings? Number 9, J.J. McCarthy, the guy that killed us in week 9. He's not playing. They got some dude from Burger King starting their game this week. So Lions should go into Minnesota on Christmas Day and whoop. And guess who Packers are playing? Packers are playing a mad Ravens team, 8 o'clock Lambeau Field, and they might not have Jordan Love. And guess who knows how to play running quarterbacks like Malik Willis? Probably the Ravens, who go up against Jackson every week in practice. I got the Ravens winning that game. Green Bay's decimated by injuries. Minnesota just lost their quarterback. Had the referees not screwed the Detroit Lions, we would guaranteed be going into week 17, or I guess they call it week 18, with a chance to either win the division or make the playoffs. I forget which one it would be at this point. I think it would be for the division because the Bears would have lost to the San Francisco 49ers if we would have won. Yeah. We would have ended with the tied record if we beat the Bears, and we would win, and Chicago would get in the playoffs, and Green Bay would sadly miss the playoffs. But because of the referees, there's no reason to even think about that. Oh, wait, there is a 12% chance the Lions could make it into the playoffs. The Lions would have to win out this week against Minnesota, next week against Chicago, which, you know, Jared Goff in the Windy City in January. With a running game that got 15 yards. Not 150. 15 yards last week, when the Steelers ran 240 plus yards on us. Yeah. And Packers would need to lose out. So Packers would need to lose against Ravens, which is a possibility, but I don't think the Packers are going to lose against the Vikings, especially if JJ number 9 is not playing. We'll see. So the All Grit podcast is, we're doing great. We're doing good over here in Grand Rapids. And you know what? You're entitled to your own opinion. If you hate everything that I'm saying, if you say, Caleb, it's absolutely not the reason why we lost that game. It was absolutely because we gave up 240 yards on the run. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't do this. You're entitled to your opinion, but your opinion's wrong. We didn't lose because we gave up 240, because guess what? We threw for 360. We were in the game. We threw the touchdown. We won the game. The game was taken back on a no call. That's the reason why we lost the game. Now, if you want to say that's not the reason why we lost the game, there were still 22 more seconds. They could have still won. Yes, they could have still gotten 22 more seconds worth of play. But we never saw it. We never saw it happen. But I would love to hear your remarks. If you want to call in to our Speak Pipe, the easiest way to do that is, once again, go to our Instagram page, the All Grit Podcast. At the very top, you'll see our link tree little link there. Tap that and scroll all the way down. You'll see Speak Pipe right there. Click on that, and you will be able to dial right into the show. Leave us a nice, I think we have like a 90-second limit for Speak Pipe. You can leave us a thought. If you completely agree with me, I want to hear about it. If you completely disagree with me and you want to be put on here, we'll put you on. It might be a take, but we'll put you on. Okay? So, anyway, I'm done. I'm out of here. So, for the All Grit Podcast, I'm your humble host, Caleb, and yeah, we're gonna need some help. I hate asking for help because it hasn't worked so far this year. We would need the Ravens, like I said, to win, and then Minnesota to win the week after, and then us to win both for us to make the playoffs. If that doesn't happen, we're gonna have a nice draft episode coming next week for you, live and direct. So for the All Grit Podcast, my name is Caleb. Thanks for letting me vent. We're out.